I'm sorry I missed your goddess circle for Halloween. I think
Oh,
you
it's
guys
okay.
had it.
We had a really nice event.
I know. I
It was
wanted to
great.
be there, but I was like not available that day, and I was like, oh,
Understood. There'll be more.
yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us this wonderful Sunday, the 18th. And it is a service of celebration and renewal, because it is also the last service, the last open doorway service of the year. And also, and as you may have been indicated through our notices, that this special service is going to be focused on the winter solstice that is coming up in a few days. And yeah, I'm just very blessed to be here with all of you. And before I begin service, I really would just like to introduce, you know, I love these services because I don't have to do much. I have prayer, spirit principles, and I have our special friend and guest and open doorway family member, Nicole, here, who is going to give us a nice talk about winter solstice and ways of celebrating and really taking the most out of that very special astrological day of the year, of the calendar year. And so they'll be talking to us a bit about that and how special that day and how important that day is and how we can really celebrate it, but also soak up all the energy from it. And so we're very honored and blessed to have Nicole here, or I should say Gold Dust Femme. And of course, Nicole offers many different facets of healing. You're a blogger, you're a healer, tarot card reader, medium. It's across the board. All you do is offer that space and healing and that knowledge to others. And we're just very lucky to have you part of the community, but also here to speak to us. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right. So let us begin. Oh, hey, Jimmy. And let's close our eyes for a moment. Now this is, and take a few deep breaths and just like let the day just kind of go. We might have been like panicking to jump onto service. We don't need to panic or rush any longer. We are here, we are present, and we get to breathe and just be ourselves, and be away from the chaotic world around us. And just center ourselves in our seats. And just focus on your breath as we begin to relax and draw our attention, our focus to this very moment. I have a special prayer to open this service today, one that I was inspired to read in my stumbling upon of prayers that are in celebration and theme of winter solstice. And I stumbled upon this really lovely prayer that I would like to share it with you all to bring us into this space of service. The dark shadow of space leans over us. We are mindful that the darkness of greed, exploitation, and hatred also lengthens its shadow over our small planet, Earth. As our ancestors feared death and evil and all the dark powers of winter, we fear that the darkness of war, discrimination, and selfishness may doom us and our planet to an eternal winter. But may we find hope in the lights we have kindled on this sacred night, coming in a few days. Hope in one another and all who form the webwork of peace and justice that spans the world. In the heart of every person on this earth burns the spark of luminous goodness. In no heart is there total darkness. May we, who have celebrated this winter solstice by our lives and service, by our prayers and love, call forth from one another the light and the love that is hidden in every heart. Amen. That prayer was written by Edward Hayes, and it's from Prayers for a Planetary Pilgrim. I just stumbled upon it, and I may even pick up that book to see what else is contained in it. And I just felt it was appropriate to this year, but also what we expect to come, this light that we spread to everyone and illuminate in everyone. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to read off the principles. And of course, I encourage you all to read along with me if you so choose. And if not, no, that's okay. Oh, I guess this doesn't like me to share. Well, if I can't share, that's okay. We've read them so many times, maybe it's engraved in your memory. But how about this? Since I'm not able to share them because I'm on a different computer than I usually am, let's close our eyes and let's just let these principles be mantras and prayers that and energy that we put out into the world and into the universe as we illuminate those hearts that we spoke of in the invocation. So just as you're hearing me read off the principles, just in your mind with your eyes closed and in your heart, know these principles to be truth and let that truth be spread outward into the world around us. We subscribe to the following principles. Number 1, infinite intelligence, the deity, the designing and creating energy for everything in the universe. Number 2, one universe, many dimensions. From one source came all that is present in our world, our galaxy, and beyond. The immortal soul. Soul is eternal. We seek truth within ourselves, from other souls, from sacred writings, and from the natural order that sustains us. Number 4, communication between the material and the non-material world. Spirit transcends all dimensions. All souls, flesh and spirit, communicate with each other. Number 5, personal responsibility. Cause produces effect through thoughts, words, and deeds. We create ourselves and our circumstances, and we are singly responsible for our choices and creations. And lastly, number 6, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is our highest morality. All right, you may open your eyes and come back and return. And we are here to listen to the wisdom and guidance and energy of the wonderful Nicole, Gold Dust Femme. I'm going to spotlight Nicole for us right now as she gives us
Everyone.
a wonderful talk.
Hello and welcome. Now that I'm in like double phase face, I only see me and no one else, but you're here and it's lovely. Before I swipe to see everyone's face. So thanks for coming. As I was preparing, kind of meditating. I do like some preparation when I'm doing like talks sometimes and things, and then other times. And this is something that I think, Terence, you know, from our classes with Alex, he said sometimes it just flows and it just comes, right? So I have my outline, but I'm gonna flow too. Because I was really excited because the winter solstice is my favorite, to be honest. I'm a summer baby. I was born in July. I'm a Leo, but I'm a rising Capricorn. And what I love about the winter solstice is it happens right around the time when we shift from Sagittarius season into Capricorn season. And sometimes Capricorns get a bad rap. No offense to anyone who's Capricorn in this group. We're great, I would say. I feel like Capricorns, it's kind of a serious energy. It's the energy of winter. It feels very like, it can feel a little tough, right? And winter can feel a little tough sometimes. I think this time of year in general can feel tender for many reasons. It brings up, there's holidays, it's getting colder, it's really dark out. Sometimes I feel like we reflect a lot on the year. There's a lot of pressure when we come into New Year's. And it kind of can stir up this thinking of we have to do a lot of things. And I think that, especially now with the internet, which is this vastly beautiful thing, and I'm not going to go all into it, it like brings all this amazingness and all, I think, sometimes overwhelm, especially onto the nervous system. And the nervous system in winter is something to really think about and tend to. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today in terms of the winter solstice, because there's a lot of magic, and I'm going to get to that, and a lot of like just beautiful rituals and things. But I think one of the invitations of the winter solstice, and then as we move into the season of winter, is really a time to tend to and nourish and rest the body, and most especially the nervous system, because we use and we do a lot in spring and summer, and it has to do a lot with the weather. It has to do with the season. It has to do with, we are humans that have operated in a lot of ways seasonally, even when capitalism and schedulism work and things like that kind of funk it up a little. We still kind of tend to move with rhythms, right? And we tend to, I like to laugh sometimes because I look at things and I say, oh, that's happening on the full moon, or this is happening on the new moon. And like, people are not planning that, it just does, right? So even amidst all the things, I think because our bodies operate that way in rhythm, we tend to come into a rhythm of something and a pattern. And the winter solstice is, I think, a really important moment to pause, to reflect, to just find stillness in the dark, and be with the light, which sounds a little weird, but it is kind of what the winter solstice is. It's the darkest night of the year. We're in the northern hemisphere too. So what's kind of cool is that the summer solstice is happening in the southern hemisphere right now. And I just like, that's the merging of like magic and science and being on planet Earth that I think is so cool. And it just represents the way that like this planet, our bodies, a lot of things, like as strenuous as things can be, we're able to hold a lot of different dualities and complexities. And I think that's really beautiful and something to remember. And so it's the darkest night of the year here in the northern hemisphere. And what's really cool is that though it's so dark and it's so like the sun is setting so early, and I know that can be hard, right, on people's nervous systems. Seasonal depression is so very real, and combined with just the wildness of the world. We're in really tender, spirally times, is someone I know described it, like the spirally weird stuff. And at the same time, there's a lot of really amazing beautifulness. And so that's what I want to talk about in terms of the winter solstice today, and shifting is finding the beauty in it and finding the light within this dark, dark, dark day as kind of a guide to grow and to like just like follow a little. Because what's cool is we hit this darkest night of the day, and then every day, minute by minute, there is more and more light that grows, right? And we grow up, we come to the equinox, spring, and then to the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. So if we think about winter as this actual, it's like the beginning. It's like we reach the bottom, the base, and then we start to go, or we come in and we're slowly beginning to rise. And that's when we see in winter later, we see halfway points where we see little baby snowbells pushing up through the snow, and different plants. And I do a lot of different things, but my favorite rhythm is with the plants and the seasons and learning with them. And that's my way of finding beauty in the season. It's not everyone's way though, right? So for the winter solstice, for this day, there's always been, and you can look to, I would encourage you to look into your ancestors if you're able to, or even just family, or chosen family. However, there have been rituals around this time of year. And a lot of these rituals, whether it's the winter solstice, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, all encompass lights, all encompass kind of an encouragement and a gathering to be together with the light in the darkness. Whether that's metaphorically, whether that's just because it's dark early, all those things, fire and light is this guide, this constant, this anchor to be with. And I love that. I love the lights. We have a Christmas tree here. We're going to be lighting Hanukkah candles tonight, with my partner's family and everybody. And I just like, it makes me so happy, all the lights. And it's a tender time too, right? It brings up a lot of things. But on this day, and if I go in topsy-turvy ways, hopefully this is all making sense. I feel like there can be a lot of pressure, especially now with the internet and with so much information coming to you along, even in spiritual practices, witch practices, all these things. You'll see, I feel like, and maybe it's because some of my work is in that, so I get the emails of it, but it's like winter solstice bundle. Here's your winter solstice ritual. Here's your winter solstice ritual. And nervous system again. I feel like this is overwhelming. I feel like sometimes I'm a big advocate of we need each other, we support each other, we learn with each other, and we also have to listen to ourselves and our bodies and honor that, right? Because one person's ritual may not be what the other person needs. And that's the beauty of our difference, and that's the beauty of our connections, and that's the beauty of sharing, right? Sharing, and that's my hope here today, is that I can offer some little tools, an idea, or even just a spark within you to think, oh, I'm gonna maybe do this, or I like that. So whatever I say today is not set in stone. You are your own guide of how you want to shape your practices and your flow. My only hope, wish, is that you are able to just be with the presence and cultivate some little bit of joy, just a little, like a moment with the light, with yourself, with an honoring of where you're at, where you've been, and that you're going, you know, and that you can, just as the earth does, just as the seasons do, we cycle, we change, we grow, we die, and we're reborn, right? And I think fall, Scorpio season, Sagittarius season, it's been intense. right? It's been, I feel like everyone I talk to, clients I work with, just general energy in the air is we're tired, we're feeling tender, we're feeling grief in different ways. We want to have fun, but it's kind of hard, right? Um, and and maybe some things are wanting to change a little bit and they feel a little sticky. And I'm not going to stop the war. Frankly, that's a systematic thing too, right? And both of us, but I can find peace within myself. And I can find peace that if that piece is here, that piece can ripple hopefully into the simple daily interactions we have. And that's something that I hold to a lot, right? And try to remember as my own anchor. And I think that's something coming out of this season of even, and Renee and her wonderful like goddess wheel of the year circles, they're amazing. You should check out like these markers, these times. Fall is the season of death. It is, everything is shedding and releasing, and it's beautiful. On the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast now. Fall is different here, but it's happening. Winter is different here, but it's happening. And that's the thing, is that it's all happening. It may just be happening a little differently, and that doesn't make it any less valid or different, right? But it's a lot of release. There's a change happening, and whether it's big or little, we're all experiencing it. And I think that I like to look to the winter solstice as a time of renewal, a time of pause, a time of being with the light and the dark, like I was saying, and a time to begin again. And I don't know if everybody sees it that way, but that's my own personal take on it. Winter, it's different. In winter, it can be a time, many herbalists, some of my teachers that I've worked with, look to winter as a time of restoring, of resting, of nourishing the body in different ways, of slowing down, tending to the joints, right? Lots of the things that we can give attention to that maybe we weren't giving attention to in the spring and fall. And my favorite quote by Mary Oliver, who I love so much, who's a just wonderful poet and very connected with, I think, the natural world. And if you're familiar with her work or not, I would definitely seek it out. And there's this great, and I can link it and send it out if anybody's interested. There's this wonderful interview that she did before passing with Terry Gross. It's on Being, Krista Tippett on Being, and a podcast. And she said, attention is the beginning of devotion. And that is, if I can offer you a mantra as well for winter, for the solstice, it would be that attention is the beginning of devotion. And to think about what you have been paying attention to and what you want to pay attention to more. Because devotion is really, I love devotion. I devote my energy in a lot of different ways. And I think that can shift in the season. And so my invitation to you this winter solstice is to think about how it's like, I can say, find the beauty and find the light, right? But how do you do that? How do you do that? Like that, and that's always my thing. And when I do tarot, I talk a lot with my clients. We can pull a card, but what is the action card? What are the steps to get there, right? And I think about that a lot in terms of healing, in terms of ritual, in terms of so many things. How do we get there? How do we make it happen? And so how do you devote attention to something? How do you find the beauty? How do you find the light when it's the darkest day of the year? I think you savor it. You devote time to the things that you know are going to nourish you, are going to be the beauty that feels and looks good. And what does that mean, find the beauty? I'm like, go out and look at what that evergreen tree looks like with snow on it and the crystals on it and the individual snowflakes that you see and the smell. Go stand, if you're in New York City, like I used to go into Prospect Park and Central Park and just sit at the base of a pine tree or an oak and just be there, bundled up during the day with the sun on my face. And that was my way. That was my devotion to attention. I was devoting my attention to finding my grounding and finding this beauty that filled me, that reminded me of my presence, of the season, of the beautifulness of this, of the fact that there may be no flowers blooming right now, right? But there is this incredible evergreen tree that can teach me the resilience of going through it, of being deeply rooted and steady, of being evergreen, and that's their existence. And even though this oak has shed all its leaves, it's beautiful in its own wintering. And we can find beauty in our own wintering as well. And the winter solstice is this, I mean, so many different cultures, like if you can read and see in stories, and we don't even need to go far back, we can just like ask for those stories if we can find them, or look for those stories of this time of year, of how gathering and rituals and celebration and all these things are a part of it. And we can create our own too, you know. My family, we at this point recreate Christmas for ourselves with our chosen family, and do our own thing. And over the years, that's shaped out of shifting from different family dynamics that were not healthy or just didn't work anymore, or people had passed on. And, you know, we came together, and it's so much fun. And I love it. And the winter solstice, years back, I met my partner on the winter solstice, actually. And that's another thing that my partner was like, are you going to share that today? I was like, I am actually going to share it, because it really was this teacher for me, in that on the darkest night of the year, when, you know, especially on the East Coast, I feel like many people are like summer love and all this stuff. I'm talking winter love here. Like winter, like it was so cold. And I remember we met, and there was just this spark, there was this something, and I didn't know what it was yet. It was just this little like, who was that? And I was ready and open to receive love at the time. That's a whole other conversation of Femme solitude things, but I was open and present, and I didn't know, right? Like and that's what I would encourage with this season, and with the magic of the winter solstice, is to be open to wonder. Be open to, again, this like magic in the darkness, and like what emerges, because incredible things do, right? Like plants rest and grow in this darkness. Fires smell and fill our homes. The hearth, the fireplace, of so many you know, like cooking and being together, and the smells, like these things have been done to bring, like, entice the senses to be present, to be with the earth, to be with the beauty, with the things. And on that night, like we met, and I remember I got in a car and got home, because I did not go out with them, because I had been reading tarot all night at a party, and I was tired, and I had my own boundaries, and I was like, I'm hungry, and I'm going home, and I'm gonna hang with my cats, and I'm gonna eat and go to bed. And you know, my friends were going out. They were with a friend of mine and wanted me to go dancing, and I was like, nope. And I hopped in a car, and I remember driving down the street, and the entire way home, it was this one street, Jefferson in Brooklyn, and like every single tree was lit up, and I had not seen that. And I just thought to myself, like, wow, like what a metaphor. Like, it's the darkest night of the year, and I'm driving down the street, and every single tree is lit up. Like, this is the light. This is the tunnel of light in the darkest night of the year. And then as our love unfolded, it became this thing that I was just like, wow, like this is what can happen. This is the magic of that. Like, this is like, we don't need to focus this day, this winter solstice day, on, oh, winter's coming, and oh, it's so, the light is so short, and it's so cold, and now winter's going to come, and we can't do that. We can kind of get in this role, because the mind will do that, of all the things that it's not, instead of all the things that are there and all the things that could become. And that was my reminder of like, something can come, love can come, like magic can happen, like these beautiful experiences. And even if it wasn't the case of meeting Hannah that night, of just driving down the street and being able to be of service, I was like, my cup was so full. And then again, like these lights lit up everywhere, just all the way down. Look for that. Look for the simple little things. Because those are the things that renew us. Those are the things beyond, you can buy all the things, do the stuff, like everything, but like just the simple act of the presence and the devotion to attention, like what you are devoting your time and attention to, and allowing that to be kind of the ship that holds you, like in this darkest night, the circle, the fire, whatever it may be for you that feels good, and holding, that's it. So there's that part. And in terms of just actual astrological energy, we shift from Sagittarius into Capricorn on the solstice, which is pretty cool. We go from the grounded fire in tarot, we go from Temperance to the Devil card, which the Devil gets a bad rap, because the Devil can be an invitation to just not be so serious, to be honest, which I love as kind of the lesson, because the Devil also represents, in tarot, it is the Capricorn and Capricorn season. And again, with my reference on Capricorn, I think sometimes the thing is, you're so serious. It's ruled by Saturn. There's work, there's structures, but my favorite thing is that it really is, and Capricorn invites you to take your time. It is this ego, like it is the understanding of the depth of things and the understanding of where we're going, and that it's going to take time, and good things take time. They take time. Like building something takes time. Tending and healing to your body takes time. And that's what the winter solstice, and that's what Capricorn season, and that's what, like, this whole time, I think, is really kind of the invitation and the thing to think about. Because in summer and spring, we rush a little. And I try to invite people to slow down a little bit, but like we do rush a lot. And this again is like, there's a slowness, and Capricorn likes to go, I always tell them, like, it's going up the mountain step by step, and go and like has the things, and it's just very intentional. So the winter solstice and this kind of lunar time of, like, we have the winter solstice on Wednesday, the 21st, and then we have a new moon on Friday, the 23rd. And that, I think, is like, if anything, yeah, there's New Year's, but this solstice and new moon happening close to each other like this, it's a really beautiful invitation to begin again. It's these next couple days, if you can, clearing out anything. Go, if you have a little garden, I always tell people, go pull all those dead leaves, clear the things, like clear them off your plants, like refresh your dresser, go through your fridge, clear it out, go through your closet, clean up the clutter, give your house a dusting, take a bath, whatever it is, like wrap up some things, even if it's just one thing, even if it's a phone call or an email, whatever, probably what I'm talking about. Clear it up and clean it up. It's such a beautiful energetic time. The moon is waning. We're moving into a dark moon right before this new moon within this solstice on Wednesday. And that solstice can be a place to pour it out and pour back into yourself how you need, right? So if you have access to a fire pit, it is a beautiful time to light a fire and write down on a piece of paper the things you want to release out. You give gratitude for it and you send it into the fire. If there are things you need to burn, put it in the fire. Whatever it may be, however it is. If you have a candle, you can do that too. You can safely light it, put it in a burn bowl. You can flush it down the toilet. You can send the ashes out. I was that witch in New York City, like on a fire escape, blowing ashes out of a bowl, many, many times. Now I have like a backyard and like different fires. I'm in LA, so you have to be a little bit more careful. But I can still do it, and it's beautiful. So on the winter solstice, and then before Friday, this new moon, if you can, do some releasing, do some clearing, little subtle. This does not have to be much, and do it however you want, or don't. Like maybe you just need to sleep, and that's it. Again, these are all invitations to think about and kind of shape for what feels right for you, because the new moon in Capricorn, I mean, we're going into some sticky astrological weather. We have Mercury retrograde happening, and it's Capricorn season can be a little intense. Like we've got Mars retrograde right now. It's like it's a lot, and so this week is actually quite beautiful. Just it's always beautiful, but like there's some supportive energy, and that is thanks to this solstice and this new moon happening. And if you at all need like that kind of just like reboot, and again, these things don't have to be a lot. Like talk to your guides, talk to the moon, talk to your altar, whoever, whatever, however you do that. Ask for, you can just simply say like, Spirit, may you guide me in the renewal that I need. May you guide me to remember to find the light. May I remember to begin again. May I remember to devote attention to the things that really truly fill my cup right now. May I remember to rest. May I remember that, my quietude, my rituals, my own care of myself allows me to be present for everything else around me, and to prioritize that. If you're looking for some herbal nourishment support for winter I would recommend rosemary, thyme, cinnamon, ginger, and chamomile. Those are all really great plants that you can find in your store. You can find in the farmer's market still. You could grow in a little herb garden. They are really good for our immune health. They're really good for there's so much flu and pandemic happening and all of that. And a lot of these herbs, though they're not the cure, right? We need many tools. These herbs can be so helpful in giving our bodies extra protection for our immune systems, energetically too. Rosemary is such a sacred healer. It's one of my most favorite plants. You can dry it and you can burn it safely, and it's really great, like cleansing for the space. It's really, really good to cook in your stews and your soups. Thyme as well to season on your vegetables when you're roasting them, just adding them in and thinking about incorporating them. It's also a really good time to make sure that we're hydrating, because again, our bodies are slowing down. It's very cold. We kind of think in the summer, oh, that's when we get so hot and need to drink water. We need to do it all the time. Our bodies are made of water. But most especially in the winter, because I think we can kind of forget, and I do too, right? We kind of go and then we're like, oh, I haven't like drank water in 4 hours. Simple things like just waking up and drinking a glass of water each morning, and allowing that maybe to be just your winter ritual, and that's it, and keep it there. But just remembering to hydrate. Remember, it's also good, especially in the cold and with the winter, to do some stretching. Do some stretching and hold those stretches, really gentle stretching, and just breathing through the nose and out of the mouth. Because in the winter, when we stiffen up and get cold, our joints can get really tight too. And we use them more in the summer. We're doing a lot more things, depending. And so giving the time to just lay down and slowly stretch and breathe into those spaces can be extremely restorative for our bodies, and really healing and supportive. So especially if we're kind of tense too, like that will just like loosen it up. And this doesn't have to be a lot. It can be simple, like rolling your wrists and rolling your your ankles and like moving your fingers a little and just kind of like gently doing that. The other kind of ritual I wanted to talk about that's super simple to do as a way to kind of find that light and keep that as a little guide for you, starting with the winter solstice that day, and then maybe carrying that on into the season, is once a day, once a week. Maybe you pick one day, maybe you pick a Sunday, maybe you pick a Friday where you just carve out 10 to 15 minutes. You light a candle. I really like tall beeswax pillars, but you can use whatever you want. Maybe you get yourself like a little, here, I'll show you. I have my green candle with, this is like a holder that one of my good friends made. And you light that at night because it's good for at night, especially again, as it's darker, to light that and then just lay or sit and just being quiet. You can play music if you want, you don't have to, and do it for 10 minutes. You don't have to, I'm not talking about spell work here. I'm not talking about a meditation. I'm simply talking about quietude with the light in the dark. And taking what I'm speaking of finding this light in the dark in winter and the solstice, and just simply creating a ritual where you are doing that. And you can always journal if you want. If things are coming up, you can also just lay and chill, just enjoy yourself. Like give that pause and light that candle and see how it dances on the wall, and just give yourself the time, especially at the end of the day. But you could do this early in the morning as well if you are a very early riser. If you're waking up before the sun comes up, this is a beautiful thing to do too, because it can kind of invite you into the day as well, right? But whichever works for you, I really encourage you, if you can, to try this candle ritual. And as you want to add it in. But you can keep it as simple as you want. And let that just be a reminder of, you can say, may I find the light? May I continue to find the light? And find it and look for it in your day. Look for it on the winter solstice. Like, look to the joy, look to the lights, gather it around with people, gather it with yourself, and soak it up. And my last recommendation would be and I love this from the rituals of Hanukkah and Judaism, is, this week as we begin, you light the candles as the sun is setting. And that's part of their own story. But the golden hour time in winter, that in between, is so magical. And if I can anything, I encourage you to soak up winter sunsets, soak up winter golden hour, because we give summer and spring golden hours. They deserve their attention and their love. They're beautiful. But winter sunsets, especially when there are no leaves on the trees, because truly the sky is so open, is a whole different experience. And let that maybe just be the ritual. Just go walk, peek outside your window, step outside if you're able to. If during the week you're not able to and it's only on the weekends, prioritize that if that's something that feels like it really fills you up. And try it and experiment. But if anything, just remember that the winter solstice can be this beautiful time to pause, to reflect, to give thanks and gratitude for the lessons, to honor the earth, to honor the cycles, and to begin again, to allow and just invite the slow growth of the light, the slow growth of your renewal, and the slow growth of a new beginning. Let that be your New Year's, maybe, instead of the Gregorian, like New Year's Eve, set your intentions, if you want, for the new year on the new moon on Friday, if you want. Think about the systems, the rituals, the containers that really, really, really support you. And what do you need more of? And what do you need less of, in order for that to just feel held and good? Because we all deserve it and we need it. And that, I think, is what's going to be able to just keep carrying us through. And the more that we're able to come to a presence of finding the light within us and devoting attention to the things that just we're devoted, we feel good, like feel new or feel like what we need at this time, is so healing. And I don't know, like the more and more I think that we need each other, we also really need to focus on really just tending to our light and our peace inside, and remembering that it's always there and it's always around us. And if we're able to tune into that, we can just relate to each other a lot more, because we know that other people are trying to, even if we don't get it right every time. Just begin again and come back to it. And just every day you could say, may I remember to find the light. May I remember to begin again today. So I think that's it. That's what I have to say on the winter solstice. I hope, if you have any questions, I'm open to that too. But that is, and many people have different things I think to say about the winter solstice. And I would certainly encourage you to look into, if you're able to, through your different lineages of what this time of year meant for people, what they did, and you can change it up. But look into that too. If there's recipes and foods that you made, if there was a dance or a prayer or a party or a cocktail or a decorating ritual, whatever it is, maybe it's a cookie. I don't know. It could be anything. Like do that and honor that. Like, our rituals for this day can be such a spectrum. And I think that's what makes us just so beautiful. So if anything, just remember to devote your attention to what fills your cup and find the light and begin again. And happy winter solstice. Beautiful time.
Thank you, Nicole, so much for sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your wisdom. There was a lot of moments in that in your talk that were profound to me and to my spirit during this time, and I'm sure everyone here can agree that there was a lot to absorb from your talk, and things that I didn't think of, and that's one of the most important things, I feel like, or one of the most impactful things from your talk, and that expression of that knowledge and that wisdom is to bring attention to those things that we don't think of around this time, so that we can embrace the magic and the love and the light of this time. And so thank you for sharing your gifts and your time and your energy with us, and being part of the Open Doorway family. We're just really blessed to have you here with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm blessed to be here. All of you are so wonderful.
And I couldn't help but laugh when you had mentioned Hannah maybe having some reservations about the mention of your first meeting. Yeah. But I appreciate them for allowing you to mention what a beautiful story of that.
It was. I tell people that a lot. I'm like, listen, like, really incredible things can happen on the darkest day of the year. Like, just remember that. Mm-hmm. Simple little things too. Like, it can be awesome. Go walk around and see the lights.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, a lot of lights going on right now, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, celebrate Christmas, really any tradition. Pagan is, if you're adhere to pagan rituals, the Yule log.
Exactly.
It's very important around this time. So, as you had said and said so well, that it's just the traditions of light surrounding this time go back eons, go ages, as long as humanity has been on this planet, and we've been able to feel and grasp and think for ourselves. We've surrounded light around this time for a reason, and its importance around this time. So yes, to continue that.
Mm.
So thank you, Nicole. Yes, thank you for giving us that wonderful talk. Yeah, I'm just in my head about thinking about all the things that of this year, and I'm always a big proponent of reflection. So
Hmm.
that was a big thing for me too. So thank you all for being here and listening to Nicole, and I'm going to put into the chat for everybody a link to her website. Uh, Nicole does a lot of many different things, and I'm just really amazed by all that you do and that all that information that's out there to provide really ultimately healing and guidance for others. So yeah, I recommend anybody to take a look and even subscribe to your blogs.
Mm, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Then I'll be sending out a newsletter for the winter solstice this week.
Mhm.
That will have, I usually include a mix of recipes and writing and just some different things to offer. So yeah, thank you.
And that prayer, I wanted to also put in the name uh, Edward Hayes, if just anybody was curious to look them up. Oh, that's Edward, but Hayes. And then the book title was Planetary Pilgrim. Prayers for the Planetary Pilgrim. And we're all planetary pilgrims, right? So these prayers would, I'm sure, help us a great deal. And just in case you didn't get the title. All right. So let's wrap up service. Of course, if we have any questions after I close service for Nicole, feel free to stick
Mhm.
around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but let's close our eyes for a moment. Let all that we've gained during this time, whether it be healing energy, the wisdom, guidance, the light, um, let that be absorbed into our minds and our hearts. And before we say our closing prayer, let's really embrace this time, as Nicole has so eloquently put it to us, that with every end, a beginning occurs. And that in the darkness, we notice the light the most. And then, so beautifully put, beauty is found in our own wintering. We focus on what serves ourselves and our spirit, and we focus on what doesn't. We let those aspects that do not serve us, we let those go, or we blow them into the wind. And then we bring forth and gather what serves us. As the light grows and grows, and therefore what serves us, and our own light grows. So take that into your heart. And I'll read off the healing prayer to close our service for today. We ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from our minds and bodies and to restore us to perfect health. We ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and we will do our part. We ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. We put our trust in the love and power of Spirit. Amen. So thank you. And if you have any questions, Nicole, unmute your mics, and or maybe if it isn't questions, comments, or just gratitude is also welcome too. Yeah, the Mary Oliver quote was lovely.
Yeah, Mary Oliver, if you can, I'll send it, Terence, I'll send you if you want the link
Oh yeah,
to
please do.
to the podcast. It's one of my favorites, and it's an interview with her, and it's just really, really beautiful. Like,
Yeah, I would
really beautiful.
love that. Maybe we can I'll maybe even try to incorporate that into a newsletter for our
Oh, that's a
doorway.
good idea. Yeah. I'll send it to you. But I just love her poetry, and yeah, that one particular podcast is really incredible.
And I wanted to also comment another thing, that aspect of your talk that really stood out to me is that I never really thought of it as this, but you're absolutely right. Is this rhythm that we are in around this time? It's like, oh, gotta get gifts, gotta get this done, and it's this constant,
Yep.
almost what feels like never-ending rhythm, but really the true focus of this time is for that pause, in that reflection, things slowing down and embracing the stillness. And I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I think especially after the peak of the new year, we really feel winter then.
Mm-hmm.
Like the solstice happens this week, but there's still kind of a lot of there's a lot of things happening still. And we rest, but again, I think there's this tension between having to do and having to just be present with, right? And then New Year's happens, and then you're kind of just left a little, right? Like you feel a little bit well, what is there?
Yeah.
But it's really this open space to just be still in that and be still, because you actually probably kind of really need it.
Mm-hmm.
I think our nervous systems too get a little rattled, and then we're like, I don't know what to do. I'm so used to having all these things to do, and now I don't. And now it's really 20 degrees and it's cold. So yeah, it's keeping it simple and finding the stillness. And no matter how cold it is, bundle up and go for a walk during the day. That's the other thing.
Nicole, if you are game, Amy here has a small message for you if you would like to receive it.
Yes,
Amy,
please.
you're welcome to share this message.
Yes, please.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I was very grounded to your wording, and everything was beautiful. Thank you for all the information you gave to us.
You're so
Archangel Raphael presented himself, and he would like you to meditate and gaze into the Herkimer diamond.
Yeah.
Okay. And draw that energy during your meditations.
Okay. I love that.
The meditation will help you connect
Okay.
to a more significant spiritual level.
Got it.
And while you gaze, do not underestimate what's before you. More of a channeling aspect.
Yep.
Okay, a deeper connection and drawing that energy inward. Even if you do not obtain this crystal, visualize it, and it will connect you more into an advanced level. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
That's very helpful.
May I leave you with that?
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I have a
You
little
will.
herkimer that I actually found recently.
Beautiful. Place
So
that. He
Perfect.
shows me you holding it, but it's almost
yeah,
that it resembles a crystal ball, and
yes,
that's how it will act for you.
got it.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. It's very helpful.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
A couple of requests that I had for those here in attendance. There's a lot of just really potent healing energy with all of you, and a lot of light that surrounds all of you. So this past Friday, we had Mercedes Vasquez was going to be our co-conductor on Friday. Unfortunately, her mother fell, and she had to take her mother to the emergency room. She's fine. She did break her hand, and that there was surgery, and but not. She did hit her head, but they did X-rays. Nothing's wrong with her head. Now it's just the kind of the slow recovery of healing the hand. So if you would all just send healing light and energy to Mercedes and her mother, because it was very very much right before the circle. It was about like an hour and a half. She had to run to, and she felt so terrible. But I was like, hey, that's focus on that. Don't worry about us. We'll figure it out. And we did, of course, on Friday send some healing light to her. But yes, continue to, if when we are done with the service and we all log off and just sit in that space for a moment and just send that light to her and her mother before you part and do whatever you have else planned for the evening. And the second thing I'd ask you to I'd request, or kindly request, if you so choose. So Nicole so wonderfully mentioned some aspects of Capricorn. Well, our wonderful friend in spirit, Reverend Paul, is a Capricorn. And
Was he?
yes.
When was his birth? Wait, when was his birthday?
December 29th.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because my pop up is Christmas Eve. It's the 24th.
He was December 29th, and he was most definitely a Capricorn, a wonderful, lovely Capricorn. So if you all would do me the honor and wonderful gift of, and him as well, of lighting a candle and sending some light to him on his birthday. He a very kind, one of the most kind individuals that I've ever had in my life. But on his birthday, it was his special day. So he always liked his being treated like a star on his birthday.
That's the thing about Capricorns. They're very quiet, but they actually love the attention.
Yes, he loved being a star. And it was always Prosecco. His favorite was mashed potatoes and buttercream frosting on his chocolate cake.
Oh yeah, my pop-up actually liked the exact same thing. Frosted chocolate cake. And we always had to have it on Christmas Eve.
But he loved buttercream frosting.
I love that. Oh, Paul, he was so sweet.
Yeah, so buttercream, mashed potatoes, or Prosecco, also with that lighted candle and that light going to him.
I love it. I love it. Are you gonna do you ever leave him some cake on an altar for him?
I haven't gotten to that yet, but I do always on his birthday have Prosecco, and my mother does too.
Okay, that's sweet.
That was always priority over anything else.
Of course. Oh yeah. I got you.
It was his Prosecco. So, but just know that even though you may have not known him in life, I know a lot of you have, and had the honor and pleasure of knowing him in life. If you hadn't, he's still a guide and still very much he knows you, because it was very much the open doorway was a special place for him, and it was a dream of his, and to have it fully realized in the way that it is now is just a dreams come true for him. So you being a part of that force and that creation of that dream, he's very much a guide and to you all, and always guiding us with his big grin and his New England accent and his pontificating finger of So yes, thank you. I appreciate you all doing that. And just a little bit of speaking of cake, I'll show another picture that because I'm surrounded by pictures. This is one of my birthdays, and that's, you can probably guess who the bald-headed man is. And that's my sister giving some attitude, and that cake has happy birthday Terence on it.
Oh, I love it. That's so cute.
And so yeah, just to get a good sense or a picture of it. Yeah, so yeah, most definitely surrounded by and his late partner too. But yes, thank you all for being here and being present. No notices at this moment, but those notices of any further events for the new year, it's going to be coming out in the newsletter. And I'm also going to compile a list of all the dates for the services and the circles our website. That way, then there's not this guessing game or waiting for the newsletter to know when these are coming up. And of course, any special guests or any other further events, we'll make announcements of those either on the website and through the newsletter and on that master list. But yeah, that will be compiled very soon and go out for you all to print out or have on your computers, to be always that, oh, when service and or when's the circle, and go to that. And so just to give you all a heads up, and yeah, and many blessings and with your traditions and whatever holiday you celebrate during this time. But yes, ultimately happy winter solstice.
Happy winter solstice, everyone.
So good to see you, Nicole. Thank you so much. Thank you, Terence.
Of course, thank you.
See you all, see you all in the new year.
Everyone,
Yeah,
happy solstice.
Happy New Year, happy solstice.
Happy solstice. And that new moon.
New moon Friday. Let it light you up.
New moon. Write down your
That's good.
intention. Let them go.
Yeah, write down those
Exactly.
intentions.
Exactly. Burn it up this week and then bring it in.
And
However you
girls,
want.
oh, I'm a Leo too. Thank you. July. I'm here in San Diego. I used to live in
Wait.
LA. Hi, Nicole. You're over there.
Hi, you're just north of, wait, when in July?
28th.
26. Yes.
Oh, right on.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
There we
love
go.
it.
Woo!
I love
See you
it.
again.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Terrence, you're wonderful.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
wonderful, Nicole. Thank you. We're gonna have you come back for sure.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. All right. You have a good week and happy solstice.
Yes, you too. Mary, toodaloo.
Yeah,
Happy solstice.
yes. Thank you. You too. We have to watch it on I think it's YouTube this year.
Yes, I was gonna say,
Yes.
I just picked up another Paul Winter album.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great, wonderful, wonderful. It should
That's
be
what I'm-
lovely. It's supposed to be a compilation of several years of concerts. Should
Yeah.
be beautiful.
That's what I'm gonna be listening to on
Yes.
this solstice. So yes.
All
All right. Have a wonderful, safe drive home, and see you at the next turn.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.